Hello everyone, and welcome to ZIGURAT Tech Minds, AI-powered business solutions, and we are thrilled to have you here with us today. In this session, we will explore how cutting-edge AI technologies are reshaping business across industries. From improving workflows to enhancing product development, we will dive into real-world applications of AI that are driving growth and innovation in today's fast-evolving market. I'm Rodrigo Ferreiro. I'm the corporate manager at ZIGURAT, and it's my pleasure to guide you through this exciting session. So for those new to ZIGURAT, we are a global leader in online education with over 20 years of experience in e-learning. Our hands-on training programs are closely aligned with industry needs. Our programs include master's and postgraduate degrees in architecture, engineering, and tech management. And we are proud of our vibrant, diverse community, over 20,000 students from 120 countries, and a highly specialized faculty of more than 200 industry leaders. So today's event is closely connected with our global MBA in digital transformation, a program designed to equip professionals with the skills to drive innovation and lead growth in fast-evolving industry. I'm proud to be an alumnus of this MBA. This one-year program equips professional and C-level executives to implement holistic digital transformation strategies and across all areas of a business. It covers disruptive and technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, IoT, blockchain, and more, empowering leaders to stay competitive in the digital age. The program culminates in a digital transformation project. For example, in my case, my final master thesis, I developed a strategy to digitally transform ZIGURAT Knowledge Hub and restructure our standards master and postgraduate courses into a new business unit focused on creating and delivering customized training programs for companies. Feel free to scan the QR code if you want to know more, and our team will be in touch with you. So before introducing these speakers, I'd like to share a quick lesson from my MBA that will be useful for today's sessions. In one of the first topics, we discuss redefining our vision and getting our digital foundation right. That's when I first heard about the red car theory. For those unfamiliar, it's very simple. If I ask you how many red cars how you saw on your way to work today, most of you would probably say none. But if I told you I'd give you 50 euros for each red car you spot, suddenly you start seeing them everywhere. So the idea of the red car theory is like opportunities. They are always around us, but we only notice them when we focus on finding them. Now, let me be honest with you. I won't pay you 50 euros for spotting red cars tomorrow, but the experts joining us today will share insights far more valuable to you. So let's get started. Now, I would like to introduce both speakers. We have with us today Eduardo Ordax, Generative AI Lead at Amazon Web Services. He will dive into the topic of reinventing workflows with generative AI. He will walk us through the latest trends, emerging market opportunities, and how AI is transforming business across industries. Expect exciting real-life use cases and a deep dive into the AWS GenAI stack with some amazing AI application in action. We are going to start with Eduardo, and then we will have also Tim Mitchell, Digital Transformation and CX Lead at Cadena Growth Partners, specializing in launching new digital products and experience from large African organizations. Tim will share insights on accelerating the product management lifecycle with AI, showing how AI-driven solutions can speed up the journey from ideation to launch. And at the end, we will have some time for Q&A. So welcome, Eduardo. Thank you to be here with us. The stage, it's all yours.
Thanks, Rodrigo, for having me today here with you guys. Let me share my screen, and I'll try to be, super concise because we know it's only, 20 minutes, so it's like many topics to discuss today. So I'll try to be, or at least to go through the most important topics. As Rodrigo said, I'm working at AWS as Generative AI Lead across EMEA, but worldwide as well. And my work, it means, like a meeting with many customers around the world and trying to figure out how to harness the power of AI, ML, generative AI as well. And some of the key learnings from the last couple of years, mainly last year, it was like most of the customers, for them right now, we used to say like generative AI, it was like top of mind, right? But the reality is that this has changed, especially like during the last few months. And I could say this is not only for customers, but it's for people in general. This is not customers anymore asking me about like generative AI. And the best way to measure this is when I'm sitting with my friends. I mean, like probably in the past, nobody knew what I was doing for a living. Nobody asked me about my job. But right now, like I'm actually, like taking most of the conversations with, like my conversations with my friends that is about AI, right? So they want to know more. And this is something that, like I can observe everywhere I'm going. And why we are talking right now too much about generative AI? Because this is one of the most recurring questions, right? Like, hey, why it's now? Why not like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Because AI ML is not a new technology. I mean, like, we've been using it for such a long time already. At Amazon, we were like using ML to define the algorithms to give recommendations to our customers on our marketplace, right? But generative AI, it's quite a different technology in many different aspects. But why is like reaching this like a hyping point right now? It's first of all because of the massive proliferation of data. I mean, like we have huge amount of data right now that we are in a position to consume this data. Of course, we had data in the past, but we were not able to consume it at the scale. Right now, we have huge amount of data, and this data is fundamental to train what we call these foundation models or large language models, that they are the one that they are like powering generative AI. Secondly, it's about like the availability of massive amount of compute. Probably all of you have heard about NVIDIA, that is like a exponentially increasing the stock price. And this is because this is what generative AI needs compute, and compute means NVIDIA right now. Of course, there is like a great momentum around innovation on AI. There are researchers over the world coming with new papers, new techniques, new approaches, and that's why we are innovating every single day. But finally, and I think this is the key reason to explain why we are here today talking about AI and generative AI, is because we have entered into a new market. We used to work only with like customers like enterprises and so on in the past, but right now AI and generative AI is reaching to all the public, all the consumers, all the people around the world. Everyone is using ChatGPT, is using Flux, is using different applications that they are using like generative AI behind the scenes. So that's the real reason why we are here today. But maybe many of you, they are going to ask like, hey, what is generative AI? Because I think it's not still like super clear to me, right? So generative AI, we can explain it in four main different aspects or pillars. First of all, it's about a kind of AI that is going to generate a content that is quite similar. Actually, we are even not able to differentiate from the content that it can be generated by the human. It can be text, it can be images, it can be video. But the thing is, like, even when you are looking into these videos generated by AI, we are not being able to differentiate if it's like human generated or AI generated. Second, and this is what I was saying before, it's powered by something that we call foundation models. Foundations models, they are like this small piece of software that is going to be able, that it has been trained on a huge amount of data, and it's able to generate what we call the next token, right? So it's able to do all these kind of predictions, text generation, video, and so on. One of the nicest things about generative AI is like you can apply this to many different use cases. So the same model can be applied to generate text, to generate images, to do classification, to do summarization. While in the past we used to leverage many different models, one model for churn detection, one model for clustering, one model for customer segmentation. Right now, these models, they are super powerful, so they can be used across many different tasks. And finally, and this is one of the most powerful things, these models, they are like quite generic because they have been trained on like generic data on the internet. They don't know about your data. They don't know about your preference. They don't know about your business. So you can do something that is called fine tuning. And by fine tuning, you can modify these models to be or to excel in a specific task. This is what we call fine tuning. And this is the capability to customize these models for a specific task applications. And where we are right now. So right now we are, like kind of in a ramp up where customers that are starting to adopt more and more generative AI. Based on a study from Gartner, I think it is the spend on generative AI models, on foundation models, it was going to be multiplied by 3 this year. But you can see there some of the metrics like, hey, 2 out of 3 roles or jobs in the US, they are going to be affected by generative AI. We are estimating around 200 billions the impact by 2030. So right now, we have multiplied by 4 the investment by venture capitals in AI startups. So I think the numbers are just, like incredible. So we are just, like seeing a small part of the picture, and this is going to keep increasing a lot. And just to give you a bit of, like a perspective about generative AI, I think it's also good to compare it with other, like applications or services or solutions that we used in the past, right? So when we evaluate the path to 100 million users, or, like how many time did it take to Instagram, to Pinterest, to Spotify to reach 100 million users, right? So if we compare, for example, Spotify, it took around 55 months to reach 100 million users. TikTok, it was only 9 months. But when we analyze ChatGPT, it was less than 2 months to reach these 100 million users. So that puts in perspective how transformative, how disruptive is this technology, and how this is going to change the way we operate, the way we communicate, the way we work to each other. And at the end of the day, it's going to transform the way we live. So I think these are important numbers that we need to keep in mind. However, we are still in the very early days. I really love to show these slides because it reflects pretty well where we are right now. And we need to differentiate from the hype, from the capabilities, and from the adoption, because that is super important. And right now we are sometimes, like a bit of bias because what we see on the media and so on. And the reality is like when we analyze any new technology, it used to follow this, like a curve that, like it has like a form of an S, right? Like you have some kind of improvements at the beginning, then you have like an exponential growth followed by, like a small improvement. So if you are asking me about where we are today, I would say like in terms of hype, we are just at the top. There is huge hype around generative AI, AI in general. And that's why I'm saying like it's super important to understand what is actually this technology and trying to differentiate, like all this noise from the reality. If you ask me in terms of capabilities, where we are right now, I think we are some way in the middle. I mean, like there is still a lot of room for improvement, but the reality is like we have a technology. I like to say like we have a technology from the future for problems that we have today. And that's why sometimes it's super complicated to use it, because this technology, we don't know how to use it. We don't know how to provide business value. We don't know how to measure the value that it's going to provide. And it's because it's so challenging. It's like having, like a future machine that we need to use today. It's like, like it's changing all the rules. And that's why, like it's been super complicated. However, in terms of adoption, the reality is like we are still in the very early days. I'm talking to customers around the world. Most of them, they are still experimenting. They are playing with generative AI. They are playing with these models. But in terms of business value, we are not still where we would like to be. And this is going to take some time, but still things are going to change, or they are already changing. I will say from, like midsummer till today, we are starting to see more adoption, more customers moving into production, and they're, like starting to really harness all the potential about generative AI. Actually, if we compare to other, like technologies like the internet, the smartphones, I think it's pretty funny to see where we are right now, right? Because with internet, it took around, almost 30 years to reach 100% adoption in the US market. With the smartphone, it took much less time, right? It was like much quicker. With artificial intelligence, we are still in the very early days, but what we are observing is like this curve is much more exponential to the one from internet or to the one from smartphones. But again, we are still in the very early days. We could say like we are, like in the first or second year, and we are, like running these projections to 2030. So we are still need to see what is going to happen. And when we talk about generative AI, the reality is that there is much more than just, like LLMs. And this is something that is happening all the time. Probably in the last 2 years, people who are not like super aware about generative AI, they think generative AI is a GPT. They think generative AI is just a model like a llama or any other. There is, of course, a lot of research, a lot of evolution in terms of LLMs. Actually, you may know GPT, but in this slide, you can see there are hundreds of different models for different purposes. You have very big models like GPT, Claude, Llama 405 billions, but you also have very small models like the ones that Meta released a couple of weeks ago, also from Mistral, from Microsoft, like 1 billion models, 2 billion models. So the reality is that generative AI is much more than that. But even when we talk about models, there are a lot of models out there for different purposes, different needs. And this is something that is super important because it's going to help us to understand much better what is generative AI, what can generative AI help us to achieve the different, business needs that we may have, right? And when we talk about business needs, we used to talk about different use cases. And I like to differentiate or like to split the use cases across three main cohorts, right? Or like how we can impact the business by using generative AI. And I would say there are like essentially three main groups. First of all, it's about using generative AI to enhance the customer experience. And we're going to see later some use cases. The second one is about like boosting employee productivity. And this means stuff or things that we used to take a couple of weeks to do it. Right now, maybe you can do it just in a couple of hours. And that is going to make us much more productive. So in the past, when were asking someone, when we were hiring someone and we were saying like, hey, guy, you need to know how to use PowerPoint. You need to know how to use Excel. It's going to happen the same thing right now with artificial intelligence. The people who doesn't know how to leverage these technologies, they're going to be in a clear disadvantaged situation with the others that they know how to use it. So the same we had to know how to use computers, the internet, collaboration tools, is going to happen the same with AI because it's boosting the productivity of our employees. And finally, it's about optimizing process, how you can automate very complex processes by using, for example, agents. This is going to redefine the way that we were operating across many different industries. If we do a bit of zoom for these different cohorts, we can talk, for example, about chatbots, virtual assistants, conversation analytics, personalization, for all the things around enhancing customer experience. If we are talking about boosting employee productivity, we can talk about conversational search. We can talk about summarization. Let's say I have to make a summary of the latest financial report that is going to take one single week to do it. Right now, you can do it with generative AI in just a couple of minutes. Of course, you still need the person to validate, to assess, to review, but the time that it's going to take, it's absolutely incredible. You can reduce by hundreds of times the time that it takes to do that, right? And finally, it's about optimizing business processes, right? Like, hey, document processing, agents, documentation, and so on and so forth. The use cases, they are completely endless. And every single day, I'm seeing more innovative approach from our customers. How we are doing this at AWS, we offer a complete technology stack based on the different user needs. We have at the bottom layer the people who is building this technology from scratch, what we call, for example, model providers. You want to train your own foundation model. So you have the compute, you have the data, you have the different tools to train your own foundation model. In the middle layer, we have those customers that they want to build applications by using generative AI. So you can create, as I said before, this chatbot, this summarization tool, this virtual assistant. And at the top layer, we have tools for people that they don't need to be technical. They don't need to know about data science. They don't need to know about AI. They don't need to know about ML, but they want to use these applications to be much more productive, right? So this is the tech stack that we are providing at AWS to cover all different needs from the business. But I think it's much better to understand what generative AI is if we take a look to this example. So this is a virtual assistant called Amazon Q that is going to boost your productivity. So I'm asking this assistant about this customer name. I don't need to go through Salesforce to analyze it. I'm going to make it different questions about the customer, like, hey, which is the task policy for the customer? Give me the full list of countries where this customer is operating. So the model is going to call an agent to retrieve this information and send it back to me. And finally, I just want to write an email based on the information that it provides to me to this customer. Maybe that email is going to be in English, and English is not my main language. So I'm going to leverage GenAI to write this email, and it's going to make it much better. So something that it could take maybe a couple of hours, as you saw it here, is taking just a couple of minutes. This is another good example about an agent, a conversation agent that is going to help us to make a book reservation. So I want to go to Maui for holidays with my family. So it's understanding that it's not a business trip. It's a trip with my family. So it's going to retrieve information about which places I should be able to go. It's going to ask me follow-up questions. And actually, I need to know if there is something happening in August because, hey, I'm going in August. I want to know if there is some kind of, like a special event. And of course, because I'm interested, I need to know offer. I need to know discounts. So these models need to connect to my end application to retrieve all this data, give it back to me, giving me the good offer or the best offer possible. And finally, it's not about providing information. It's about booking the hotel room in the same interaction. There is no human interaction here. There are just models behind the scenes. So you can see how many things you can automate by using this. I think it's simply incredible. And there are already many customers around the world that they are using this technology to define how your trip is going to be, to book your final trip, to send you different offers, and so on and so forth. We also have a good example from Amazon, and it's about, hey, I have my own marketplace. I want to start uploading different pictures that I'm going to sell through the internet. But hey, I don't have time, for example, to put the picture in a nice place, for example, in a kitchen, wherever. So by using generative AI, you can just take these different unique elements and say, like, hey, I want to put it into a kitchen, but like in a used meal preparation. So I'm going to get all this info here. Hey, I want to put there some pumpkin spices because Halloween is coming. I think it could be a good idea. I don't need a photographer anymore because I can do it just on the fly, just in a couple of seconds. And immediately I can upload these pictures to my marketplace to start selling to my end customers. So you can imagine how much preparation this could take, how much money. And right now you can do it on the fly just in a few seconds. I think it's simply amazing. But I have another example of some kind of things that we've done at Amazon for so many years. So you need to understand that in our fulfillment centers, we are managing hundreds of thousands, millions of packages every single day. So when we are, like using Prime, it's about, like delivering a package within a day. And that's so challenging. That's why we are using robots to define the best route from the fulfillment center to the end customers. And the best route is calculated by just using different machine learning algorithms. What I think it's great because that's why we are able right now to deliver within one single day. They're also using computer vision to detect different obstacles around the way. And this is great technology to be more productive, to be more efficient, and to, at the end of the day, to increase, like the customer satisfaction by delivering on time to our customers. So these are all real examples about what is happening today. And I will just give you to some takeaways about what I shared with you today. Try to focus on what is possible. Try to focus on business value. Artificial intelligence, yeah, it's amazing. You may see a lot of things on the internet, but at the end of the day, it's about providing business value to the things that you are doing right now. We have talked about large language models, foundation models. The reality is that they are just a single piece of the whole picture. You need to analyze, like your end-to-end processes. And the reality is like there is no one single model that can do everything. That's why you need to be flexible. You need to leverage many different technologies. As I said before, we are still in the very early days. So you need to invest on your team first of all. AI is the technology, is the enabler, but you need to have the right team to implement it. And my advice is to start sooner than later, because I'm quite sure your competitor, they are already doing it. So if you want to remain competitive in this space, much better if you start today rather than tomorrow. Thank you so much. You can follow me on LinkedIn. It's been such a pleasure to share all the stuff here with you today. Thank you.
Amazing, Eduardo. Thank you very much for your presentation to show us and to make us aware of this red car. We do have one question for you that we will make this question to you at the end. So please stay connected. And also I encourage you to send us your question in the chat. And right now I would like to also invite Tim Mitchell. So thank you to be here with us. So the stage is all yours.
Excellent. Good evening to the ZIGURAT community, and thank you so much, Rodrigo, for having me here this evening. Thank you to Eduardo for a really exciting and inspiring talk on artificial intelligence, and I hope to build on some of the thoughts that he shared with you. So to introduce myself, I'm Tim Mitchell, and I am the Digital Transformation and Customer Experience Leader at Cadena Growth Partners based out of South Africa. Now, a bit of background, I'm a management consultant, so I've spent the past 10 years specializing in conceptualizing and commercializing new digital businesses, new digital products, and new digital experiences for large corporate organizations in Africa and around the world. And it's really great to connect with you. I look forward to staying in touch with the ZIGURAT community. Of particular interest for today's session is that I've become quite inspired and slightly obsessed by the impact that artificial intelligence is having on digital product management. And much to Eduardo's point, artificial intelligence is going to be this disruptive enabler for us to move forward into a new world of digital business. But I always maintain that you need to start with the people and start with the need, the opportunity that you have, and then work backwards to the technology. And through that, what I hope to share with you today is a little bit of a background on product management, the increasing role that artificial intelligence is having in product management. And then I'm going to walk through a bit of a rapid demonstration of a number of artificial intelligence tools that you can use to accelerate the product management lifecycle. I'll also leave you with a few thoughts just on key principles and best practices in what you should keep in mind when leveraging artificial intelligence for product management. So let's get right into it. To start off with, I always say that you need to establish the understanding that although products can be accelerated by machines, they are ultimately led by human-centered design. And there's a well-known model coined by IDEO, the design thinking organization, that places a persona right at the center of the design process to look at the success of a product through three lenses. So we always start with desirability. This one refers to how much customers actually want a digital product. Is there a real need that a customer has expressed that this product might help to serve a particular job to be done in their lives? And this lens helps to answer the question as to whether there is actually a gap in the market. If there is a gap in the market, great. We move forward to saying, well, is it actually viable? This one refers to whether a product can be financially sustainable. So can we create a sustainable business by fulfilling that customer need and helping to answer essentially whether there is a market in the gap? So we know there's a gap in the market. We know there's a market in the gap, but do we know if we're able to feasibly deliver on that product? So the final lens refers to whether it is technically possible to create that digital product. Do we have the requisite capabilities, the right resources, the right technology to bring that product to life? So with that in mind, we find the answer right at the intersection of desirability, viability, and feasibility. And looking at it a slightly different way, you can think of those lenses as the customer, the business, and the technology. Basically, the 3 points of origin of the definition for product management. So, the definition for product management, according to Gartner, goes something along the lines of product management is the process of conceiving, defining, delivering, monitoring, and refining products in and withdrawing products from a market in order to maximize business results. Product management tasks range from researching markets, customers, and competitors to analyzing customers and products to developing and maintaining a product vision and roadmap. They also include working with product delivery teams to test and prioritize delivery of product capabilities in order to maximize customer value and business impact and derive growth from digital initiatives. So a bit of a formal definition will help to indicate that the role of product management has evolved over time. So it's gone beyond those 3 lenses of just the customer, the business, the technology, to include a variety of other components. We now need to think about the finance, the budget behind this, the sales. How do you get this into market? Other components like leadership and strategy, about how you lead an organization that builds and establishes digital products in the market. And as you might have guessed, there's a new element that's come to the fore as well in the format of artificial intelligence. So this brings a whole new dynamic to the discipline of creating digital products in the market. How do we see this evolve? Well, there's a timeline of product management that we've observed over time, right from the pre-1930s, the days of pre-digital products that were created around the world, through to the modern day. And if I just zoom through this really quickly, in the 1930s through to the 40s, we saw the first signs of product management come to life through an executive at Procter & Gamble who came up with this concept of brand people that looked after products. He was a mentor to Bill Hewlett and David Packard, who obviously went on to create the Hewlett-Packard business and sustain 50 years of 20% year-on-year growth in that business through this brand people philosophy. Fast forwards throughout the decades, and we saw Toyota starting to implement just-in-time manufacturing principles, as well as the Kanban method, which is used by many product managers today. Technology, hardware, and software companies started using more lightweight processes away from cumbersome traditional manufacturing processes in their industries during the 70s and 80s. And then in the 90s through to 2000s, we started to see a movement towards Agile. So the Agile Manifesto was written. It was written by 17 authors, including the Scrum founder, Jeff Sutherland, and came to life to help essentially the dot-com boom of companies, many of the tech companies that we know today, giants like Amazon and Google, starting to embrace this concept of agility, to the point that Agile actually got introduced into the product management profession through the Google organization. So they launched their associate product management course through who's believed to be the world's first product manager, Marissa Mayer. And with that, the present day of product management has really evolved to create up to 4 million practicing product managers today, according to research on product managers who are building digital products. But it doesn't stop there, because we see this bright future where artificial intelligence assisted product management is coming to life. And that's what I hope to share with you over the next 10 minutes or so. So how are we seeing this impact of artificial intelligence in product management? There are a few key stats that stand out to me. So firstly, product management ranks second among the top 8 organizational uses of generative AI, according to McKinsey, right up there with marketing and sales and service operations. We're also seeing that 92% of product managers believe that AI will have a significant impact on their work in the future, and up to 41% of them are actually uncertain about job security as a result. I always say that AI will never take a job away from you, but someone who understands how to use AI might. The last is that we've started to see a number of different use cases emerging for artificial intelligence within product management. And that ranges from market research and user research through to idea management, coming up with new concepts, new features that you may want to deploy into a product. The technical specifications and requirement documents through to product discovery techniques and even the actual product development. And there are a few tools that I'll show you that really highlight how you can create digital products through artificial intelligence. So some of you might be familiar with the product management lifecycle. This is essentially the process that helps you to take a digital product from conceptualization right through to commercialization. So on the left-hand side, we start with essentially part A, discover and define. How do you come up with the customer need that you're trying to solve for? What is the problem or opportunity that you're creating a digital product for? And better serving that customer need through frameworks like jobs to be done, design thinking, human-centered design, and service design to understand what your customer wants and design something that's fit for purpose to empathize with their needs. In part B, we talk about develop and release. This is essentially the iterative approach of taking a concept through to delivery. So you start with your MVP, your minimum viable product. It's essentially a proof of concept that you're able to iterate and improve on into a minimum marketable product, your MMP, and eventually your marketable product that you're able to implement into market. So there are a number of enablers that help you to do that more effectively. And we'll touch onto some of the AI tools shortly that support in that process. Finally, you have part C, scale and augment, because once your digital product is launched in the market, you want to ensure that you're able to scale it to different audiences, to different user types, different geographies, and you're able to augment it. At all times, you need to look at continuous improvement and how you can innovate on that product to ensure that it continues to stay relevant in the product in the market that you're serving with your product. So as you can imagine, there are a variety of digital tools that exist across those three sets of product management lifecycle components. And a lot of these are traditional tools that we've had for a long time. As long as the product management profession has been around, these tools have started to develop. But what you might be wondering is, what does the future look like? What are some of the tools available that help us to accelerate the product management lifecycle through artificial intelligence? And with that, we're starting to see a wide variety of new tools emerge, ranging from conceptualization of your digital product on the left-hand side in part A, discover and define, all centered around the customer need, through to develop and release, part B. This looks at how you actually design and develop a digital product. And of course, part C, how do you innovate? How do you scale your product and how do you get it out there to the market? So a lot of great tools for product branding and marketing, as well as collaborating and innovating around your digital product. So is this real? Are we seeing this in real life today? And the answer is yes, absolutely. There are quite a few case studies where we're seeing artificial intelligence implemented in the real world. So 3 really quick case studies. Google, they have a division called Sidewalk Labs, specializing in urban real estate design. And they came up with a tool called Delve. So Delve is a generative AI real estate development tool that helps to build sustainable urban real estate designs. Now, what it does, it triangulates data from a number of different data points, different sources, basically taking a multidisciplinary approach to different requirements that you might have within a business, from the architecture department, the finance department, operations department, even environmental and sustainability departments. And what it does, it creates real estate precincts that they've seen to have an 11% higher ROI and 10% more usable residential space, whilst increasing open space for living and working. So quite a phenomenal result that they've been able to create more productive urban real estate spaces. As an example, it was used in the Wembley Park area in the United Kingdom for an 85-acre development, which included 8,000 new homes. So a really great use of artificial intelligence in building a digital product that is now converted into real estate development for buildings for working and living. The next one that some of you might be familiar with is Duolingo. They've recently launched a new Duolingo Max product, And essentially, this is a generative AI language learning experience. It gives learners access to new features. They've got a couple, for example, explain my answer. So perhaps in the traditional Duolingo, I've got the answer wrong, but I'm not sure why. In this case, it'll help you to understand why your answer is incorrect and how to correct it. They also have a role-playing function, which is quite exciting. This allows you to actually practice the language in a real-life scenario by gamifying real-world conversations. So you could have a scenario where you're trying to ask for directions in a new city that you're visiting, or perhaps ordering a coffee in a foreign language. And what they've seen is that this new feature has resulted in a 25% increase in developer speed. So using generative AI in the process of building this tool, making them a lot more efficient, and a 67% decrease in their code reviews. What they've also seen is that from a customer perspective and a business perspective, that Duolingo basically credited generative AI for a 54% leap in their paid subscribers as of May this year. So some great business results from using artificial intelligence. The last one is a well-known company, IBM. They made use of Adobe Firefly, which is a design tool to create a rapid campaign design for what they called the Let's Create campaign, which was all focused around collaborative technology design with a number of their technology partners. So what they did was use simple text prompts, and they were able to generate over 200 assets with 1,000 marketing variations for a new campaign in just a matter of minutes. So it was a 60% improvement on their time to market. And the campaign performed exceptionally well, 26 times higher engagement across the various social media platforms that they used. And they noticed that 20% of the audience that they were dealing with was a C-level decision-making audience, essentially the type of people within a business organization that they were trying to reach. So some great real-world examples out there. And we're certainly seeing AI not only a conceptual or theoretical component in businesses, but something that's creating real stakeholder value. So let's change gear for a second here. I'm going to take us through a little case study just in the last few minutes of this presentation. And this is actually off the back of the thesis that I did through ZIGURAT. So I did my digital transformation MBA. It was a global MBA program on a fictitious music streaming app. So I came up with the concept for a new music streaming app for the African continent. And what I've done in this case study just for today is taken some of the concepts that I developed, but used AI tools to accelerate the product management lifecycle for this concept. So we'll start with a quick problem statement. Basically, we're looking at Africa. Now, this is a continent that is essentially primed for success in the digital music industry due to its abundance of musical talent and a rising youth population who are absolutely fanatical about music. However, we have a problem in Africa. So Africa's music streaming penetration currently sits at 3%. It's a lot lower than the global average of 13%. So something's wrong over here. We're seeing that we're falling behind the curve when it comes to the adoption of digital music streaming. And it really comes down to two key problems. The first is poor connectivity. So we have the world's most expensive mobile data plans. So not only is it expensive to get data, but when you do have data, the coverage is really poor. So sometimes you'll be listening to a song and it'll stop. You need to buffer and you need to wait for it to load so you can hear the music. So we're dealing with poor and expensive connectivity, number one. Number two, we have inequitable artist remuneration. So the musicians, the people who are working hard to give us great content, are not getting the money and the recognition that they deserve through a lot of the traditional music streaming platforms. And what we've seen is that musicians are collecting less than 30% of the streaming royalties that are actually owed to them. So a couple of big problems that we need to solve for to create some kind of music platform that connects listeners and musicians in Africa. So this is where the fun comes in. I took a very traditional approach to this during my thesis, but for today, we're going to use some artificial intelligence tools, and I'll take you through a really rapid demo. So first up, I wanted to see how we could use AI to come up with human-centric feature design and feature mapping. So I went over to ChatGPT as a starting point, and I will just drag my screen across so that you can see what I'm looking at over here. All right, if I can just get this screen over to the other side. Bear with me for 1 second. There we go. So if I could just get a nod from Rodrigo, can you see my browser on the screen as well?
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. So let's start with ChatGPT. I made use of the design thinking GPT engine within ChatGPT, gave it a bit of a problem statement similar to the one that I read to you, and asked it to come up with some feature recommendations. This is what they came up with: offline music mode with data savings features, a blockchain based artist royalties program, and youth oriented discovery and social sharing. So I said, thanks, ChatGPT. This is great. Can you visualize it for me? So they came up with a visual over here. I said, well, that's helpful, but can you make it a bit more modern? So they said, sure, we can modernize that using the DALI mini tool. And I said, but can you make it more relevant to the sort of African theme that I'm trying to develop here? And this is what they came up with. So just a few concepts that help to piece together essentially the problem that I'm trying to solve for. The next step that I went to then was to say, well, I want to visualize the customer journey. So again, I came up with a prompt using the MyMap AI tool. And with MyMap AI, I basically said there are a number of different stages of the customer journey that I'm looking at, from awareness to interest, your decision, the action, and then retention. And what I want to know is what are the different touch points, pain points, and gain points, the highlights and lowlights that might exist in a customer journey based on my problem statement. So this is what they came up with over here. It's just a very simple map, a customer journey map that shows those swim lanes across the different sections of the customer journey and the different touch points, pain points, and gain points that give me a better sense of the problem that we're trying to solve for. So maybe just to come back to our presentation, this is all in stage one, where I spoke about discover and define, part A that I spoke to earlier. So things get a bit more interesting when I move over to part B. I said, let's talk about developing and releasing a digital product related to this problem statement. So I went over to Galileo, which is a great tool for user interface design, and I'll show you what my journey looked like there. So again, I had a bit of a prompt to explain my problem statement, the type of user interface that I'd like to design. And Galileo came back to say, okay, just to understand and make sure that I heard you correctly, is this the type of design that you're looking for? So I said, yes, absolutely. But you're missing one. I need a user signal screen because mobile data is really poor in the African continent and really expensive. And I want to make sure that users can see how good their connectivity is through this zero rated 5G connection that they could get as part of their subscription service. So Galileo came back to me and came up with a few screens, a few concepts for what the user interface of the app could look like. I said that it's quite good, but I wanted a bit more focus on that particular 5G signal screen. So they gave me one. They didn't focus too much on the African context that I gave them. So I said, instead of visualizing San Francisco on the map, can you change it to Nairobi, Kenya? So they came back to me to say, well, how does this look as an updated screen that basically gives you an idea of how well connected you are and how much connectivity you have left as part of your package. So a very nice concept from a visual perspective. What I want to show you here, though, is that using the Galileo tool, you're able to extract the code. So for that same image, I can generate the HTML code that I'd like to use, and I can further refine that using a tool like Claude AI as well. You can also export it to Figma, which is a rapid prototyping tool, also leveraging some AI components. So that led me to the next step. I said, great, I know what the app needs to look like, but can I make it functional? Can I actually make a clickable prototype using real code? So I went over to another tool, maybe just to toggle over there. This tool is called V0. It's by Versal, one of the top product management tools for coding using artificial intelligence. And I started with a similar journey. I said, great, I know exactly what I want to build now. Can you help me to create the code that sits behind a particular music streaming app for the African market? So the code that you can see over here on the right-hand side of the screen is what they came up with. This will help to guide me. It's using the React protocol for coding. And how it looks like visually is essentially a screen that I can scroll through. It's got placeholders for the images of the artwork for different artists and a number of different buttons that you can click on. You can shuffle, you can press play, you can go back or forward to the next song or repeat a song. And then also different areas. You have a search bar over here. You can navigate to your library or your profile. So I said to V0 by Versal, thanks, this is looking good, but there are a few refinements that I want to make. So just using simple text prompts, I asked Versal to make some updates to the web app that it generated. So over here, you can start to see it's now listing actual African artists who are publishing music on the app. And I asked it to also create some updates to the over here. If I just toggle over to the artwork. This was my final rendition of it. You can see the code over there and some artwork that's just loading on the side based on the prompts that I gave it. So again, a really exciting tool. And you can see, maybe if I just do one final prompt over here so you can see how it works. I've asked them to do something quite similar, but to change the user interface colors. I'll enter that prompt and you can see V0 is now thinking. It's going to come back to me with a app that is using the React protocol and Tailwind CSS. And you can see the code generated in real time on the right-hand side over there. So as the code comes together, it's generating a preview that we'll be able to toggle over to in just a moment. And again, this code that it generates, I can then extract and take it into another tool like Claude. I can refine it over there, put it into a production environment to see how it looks like in real life. So a really exciting way to see how code comes into some kind of clickable visualization. I'll just give this a moment to finish. And here you go. You can see our preview. So this is AfriStream version 2. And it's come up with a slightly different visual using a more sort of lighter user interface. And I think a few of the components are just loading, but you can see how the different components and clickable pieces come together here as well. So that's how I went about the second phase, part B, develop and release. And finally, what I wanted to show you is the last step, scale and augment. I wanted to push this out to the market. So if you come up with the app or the concept and you're ready to take it to market, you're going to need a brand identity. You're going to need a logo. And you're probably also going to need marketing collateral to put it out to the market in a relevant way. So there were some great tools that I used on this one. I went over to a tool called Leonardo AI. And again, just with a basic prompt, I asked to provide a visual identity for a modern music streaming app called AfriStream. It needed to include a few key elements of avatars of people using the actual application. And you can see here, if I just increase the size, there are a couple of examples of people using the app. If I go over to this one, there's some screenshots of how the app might look like in the actual marketing material. And again, you can refine it. So I said, this looks great, but can you make it look a bit more futuristic? So these were a few of the avatar renders that it came up with. I said, yes, I like where this is going. Now, can you bring it to life in the same format as the marketing material for the music streaming app? And these are a few of the concepts that it came up with. This one over here helps to show what it looks like on a mobile app. And maybe just one more that I can show you there. So a really practical use of these tools that help you to get to grips with how you can actually conceptualize not only the brand identity for this new digital product that you've built, but also the marketing material that you want to push out to market. So on the screen over here, you can see what some of the final renders look like. You can also use tools like Canva. They've started to implement AI where you can get more specific. So you can see some of the taglines that I've used here around a 30-day free trial, access to over 1 million songs, a clickable button to download now, a good call to action in the marketing material that we've put together. So that's a really rapid demo. I hope that it resonated. But there's one last thing that I want to leave you with just as I conclude today. A few key takeaways to keep in mind. The first is that artificial intelligence serves to augment the product management team. So it's never there to replace us or to change us, but rather to refresh and improve our capabilities. So always remember that it's not going to do away with traditional product management roles that we know today. Secondly is all around capabilities. So artificial intelligence might provide product inspiration or optimize your products, but at the end of the day, you're going to need robust product management capabilities to take your product over the line. So these are really just to accelerate the capabilities that you might have within your team. Next is that the data and the context that you input is of absolute criticality. So artificial intelligence obviously requires the right inputs to provide relevant outputs, and they often talk about garbage in, garbage out. So if you're unable to provide meaningful or constructive prompts, they talk about the art of prompt writing. The results that you get are not going to be what you're looking for, and you need to get into the practice of improving the way in which you interact with these artificial intelligence tools. The last one then is just to keep in mind the human touch. It simply cannot be replaced. So as clever as these artificial intelligence tools are getting, that concept of empathy remains important. So as these evolve, keep in mind the empathetic value of human to human interaction and really getting to grips with the need of your customer, doing ethnographic research. Once you launch your product, don't forget the criticality of testing. You need to actually do user acceptance testing and make sure that you are indeed solving that particular problem or opportunity that the customer has expressed. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. Some rapid demos and a great way of thinking about how artificial intelligence can accelerate the product management lifecycle, and hopefully a little bit of inspiration about how you and your product teams can sustainably use AI to get your products shipped and scaled much quicker and much more effectively. Thanks, Rodrigo. Back over to you.
Thank you very much, Tim. You extended a little bit in your presentation, but it was really, really interesting. Thank you for showing us the life cycle of product management and how you apply artificial intelligence, designing a whole product. So thank you very much. We have just a couple of minutes. We do have a question here on the chat, so I will take this question. So as we mentioned at the beginning, this is an event that we're organizing and in the context of our global MBA in digital transformation. If you want to know a little bit more of information, you can scan the QR code here. Tim show us what he was able to do during this project. So I do have a question. I don't know if Eduardo, if you are still here with us, because during your presentation we got one question, and this question is for you. So the question is from Dania. From what I have heard, you're with us here, Eduardo?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, great, very good. So we have a question from Dania. So from what I have heard, some people believe AI capabilities and powers will plateau due to the limited nature of data available, and that we will have to find a more efficient way to teach models. What do you think about this matter?
Yeah, in some manner it's happening. We are almost, using all available data to train all these models. We are using something that we call like brute force. Like we are putting more data, we are putting more compute in the aiming, to scale the capabilities of these models. That's why I probably think much better results in the future. They will come from different and more innovative approach or techniques. Right now, everything, liberates the transformer architecture, and maybe, we need to come up with different approaches. Of course, data, it's a big issue, but there are, different ways trying to even generate synthetic data that is being, widely used across, model providers like OpenAI and Anthropic. So, of course, it may be an issue. I don't think it's going to be like a big issue right now. But again, if we want to have better models in the future, I don't think it's going to be about having more data. I think it's going to be about having more efficient architectures that right now Transformer actually is not as efficient as other approaches could be.
Great. So thank you very much. There is a lot of people also asking about the presentation. We will send you this recording for all the people that registered. I also have a couple of questions that I asked from ChatGPT, but actually I will do one question and from myself. People, when they think about artificial intelligence, they think that artificial intelligence will replace humans. You are in the forefront. providing solutions and boosting artificial intelligence in the industry. What do you think? Do you think that AI is promoting the creation of more jobs or the contrary?
Maybe I can share a view on that, Rodrigo.
Please.
So, I often am fascinated about the future of work and how artificial intelligence might change the nature of our jobs. A lot of people talk about maybe some of the jobs being replaced or being automated by artificial intelligence. My view on it is quite similar to a few studies that have been done by the World Economic Forum, where they said, sure, in the short term, there might be a slight degradation of roles, but in the long term, we're actually going to see more roles, more jobs created through artificial intelligence. And the reason for that is because what we're able to do to society is basically take us up a level. So each person becomes augmented and empowered by artificial intelligence tools. So what I believe to see is that those people who become more fluent, more educated in the ability to generate meaningful prompts, interact with artificial intelligence tools, they're going to be the ones at the forefront of new job opportunities that are created. And the net effect of artificial intelligence on the jobs in our economy, I believe, will be positive. So we might lose a few mundane and repetitive jobs that are very process driven and easy to automate or replace with AI. But in the long term, we're going to be so many new jobs. There'll be all these new roles that come into the fore through those people who are able to leverage artificial intelligence in a meaningful way.
Amazing thing. So thank you very much for this message. I think that we can close this session with your message. So thank you everyone to be here with us. Thank you, team, for your amazing presentation. Also, Eduardo, we hope we were walking away with valuable insight and practical tools, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Stay tuned for updates from ZIGURAT. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.